Good evening, hope everyone's well today, thank you for watching. We've had some developments in this national inquiry that's been recommended by Baroness Casey. She is a crossbencher in the House of Lords, and I wanted to go over a few bits and pieces in this video and explain why I think this inquiry is doomed to fail, to be honest, and it's not even kicked off yet. First thing I want to do is I want to read out what Baroness Casey said in her initial report regarding this historic and ongoing exploitation of primarily English, British, white working class girls. Victims as young as 10, often those in care, or children with learning or physical disabilities were singled out for grooming. Well, we knew that already. Perpetrators are still walking free because nobody joined the dots and because law ended up protecting them instead of the victims they exploited. Again, we knew that already. Failures to act upon risk and share critical information between social services, health services and police forces. No joined up thinking in government. Well, yeah, that's not just with this, it's literally everything. Nothing works because nobody talks to each other. Deep-rooted institutional failures stretching back decades, I would say at least 50 years, but that's just my view, where organisations should have protected children and punished offenders look the other way. Again, we know this already. Casey identified clear evidence of overrepresentation among suspects of Asian, specifically Pakistani, heritage men, and she refers to examples of organisations avoiding the topic altogether for fear of appearing racist or raising community tensions. Ethnicity data was not recorded for 2/3 of grooming gang perpetrators. Baroness Casey reports that she came across cases involving suspects who were asylum seekers. So people come and go for in the small boats, like we've been saying for years. We literally do not know who these people are. They just disappear into the ether and they could be getting up to who knows what to who knows who. That's not fear-mongering, it's stated in this report. Now, Yvette Cooper, she got up in the House of Commons yesterday and she introduced some measures, alright? New laws to protect children and support victims. New major police investigations and operations to pursue perpetrators and put them behind bars. Detain and deport and pass caring at this point. If they're not native to the United Kingdom, they should be removed. A national inquiry to direct local investigations and hold institutions to account for past failures. This is critical, and I'll come back to this in a moment. Ethnicity data and research so we face up to the facts of exploitation and abuse. New action across children's social services and other agencies to identify children at risk. Alright. The crucial part in that is that it's going to be centrally led to direct local inquiries. So, central government's not going to be held to account. Government ministers, Labour and Tory, going back 50 years, won't be held to account. Government departments like the Home Office and the Civil Service will not be held to account. So, for example, say you've got a edict from the Prime Minister or the Civil Service that goes local. Say they were instructed by central government not to harm community tensions on the back of a Race Relations Act bill that passed in the 1960s. We're never going to get the people that actually made the decisions held to account. And you don't have to think about this particular thing. Think about past inquiries, going back to the Titanic inquiry, alright? Nobody was held to account for the sinking of the Titanic, even though it was speeding in icy waters. Look at the Grenfell Tower, that happened a few years ago. Has anybody been held to account for that? What about the Aberfan disaster with all those little children in Wales? They perished due to the planning board for the coal. They weren't held to account. Nobody was criminally prosecuted for that. And the Hillsborough disaster, nobody was held accountable for that, really. So this is what the government does, and this is deeply alarming. A lot of people are going to be getting hopes up that this was actually going to go somewhere, and I was one of them. Okay, we need justice and we need this to move in the right direction. Some of the positives now is that now that it's actually on record that there was a disproportionate ethnicity and ethnic angle to the whole thing, both by the perpetrators and the victims of these crimes, we can actually talk openly about these things now. We can actually call a spade and not be accused of stoking community tensions or being a racist. You can actually do that and speak openly now, and you can have the courage to do that. Rupert Lowe is still going to be doing his inquiry. That's going to be running in tandem with this, so he's going to be holding the establishment's feet to the fire. And you've even got Reform MP Lee Anderson. He thinks that Maggie Oliver, who was a whistleblower from the police, she should be leading the inquiry, and I agree 100% with that. I've seen Maggie in interviews over the years, and I think she is a diamond. These are the types of people that our honour system should be actually honouring, because she's done stellar work in the entire thing, and she's to be commended for that. Not that she'd probably accept any praise, because I get the idea that's not the type of person she is. All of this information that came out from Baroness Casey and her report yesterday, okay, it's important to know that this is for England only, alright? The government actually went to, or Baroness Casey went to the Welsh Assembly and the Welsh Executive, and they actually declined to give any information. They don't even want to discuss it. Labour have been in Wales since 1997, since devolution started, and they've been in there forever and a day. So any failures since the late 90s, since the devolution settlements, it's all on Labour. And this is the thing you need to call out. You need to call out the hypocrisy, and you need to call out the fact that, remember, Labour voted against an inquiry 6 months ago. They rejected it. Okay? So never forget that. And then you've got Jess Phillips. She went on the media rounds today. She went on the media rounds yesterday as well, trying to defend the indefensible and defend her position. So I want to play you this little clip now.
So when Baroness Casey says today it is not racist to want to examine the ethnicity of offenders, you say absolutely right.
Correct, it isn't. But in the past, like last year's general election, when she was heckled by certain demographics when she won her seat narrowly, afterwards she just referred to them as men. Just men did it. No descriptor, no age, no ethnicity, just there were men that did it. That's all you need to know. It was men. So she's a bit of a political coward.
Well, it's not. Okay. I didn't think it was in forced marriage. I didn't think in moving forward on forced marriage. I didn't think it was racist in moving forward on female genital mutilation. I didn't think it was racist.
So sorry, when people say you and others in Labour, in the Labour Party, in opposition and in government, have stuck your head in the sand about this.
Well, I mean that people can. There are undoubtedly people who have. I'm not going to.
And there's other people, if you remember, that say you need to shut up for the sake of diversity. Remember that as well. Always remember that. There's certain demographics in the United Kingdom, and they cover their own arses. And when I say cover their own arses, I mean their particular demographic, their protected characteristic. They're the people that they're actually protecting, whether that's religion or whether that's race.
And Louise Casey finds that, and there is plenty of anecdote, for example, around Anne Cryer, a Labour MP who spoke up about this, being told to keep it quiet by people, from within the Labour Party.
And Maggie Oliver herself, a whistleblower, says Labour and the Tories have both turned a blind eye.
Completely agree. Labour are at fault because it's mostly in Labour-led local council areas that this was allowed to happen. But the Tories have been in central government for the past 14 years. They're culpable as well. This went back to the 1970s, so both governments of Labour or Tory stripe, they're all equally culpable for this. And as I said previously, my honest opinion is, if you're white and working class, you don't matter to the system, you do not matter to the state. So when they come out and they say it's systematic failures, it's not. It's systematic indifference. It's not that they don't care. It's you are nothing to them.
That Maggie Oliver is absolutely right. When Sarah Champion came out and spoke about it at the time, I completely and utterly supported her. So yeah, look, people have turned a blind eye. There's I'm not denying that.
Including you?
Absolutely not me.
Yeah, I'm not buying that, Jess. You did vote against the inquiry earlier this year. If you're really a woman of principle, if you really care about women's rights and equality and protecting women and safeguarding children, you could have resigned the whip. I've said this before, I'll say it again. MPs hold all the power in Parliament. Once you're elected, you live and die based on how you vote in Parliament and what your moral compass and principles are. Alright? You should have resigned the whip in protest. That's what I would have done.
I have never turned a blind eye. I never would shy away from calling a problem what it is.
Yeah, I'm not buying that at all, Jess. I remember an appearance that you had on Question Time a few years back. I think it was when you were first elected an MP. There was a spate of mass exploitation and sex attacks on the continent, and this is what you have to say about it.
That you are describing a very similar situation to what happened in Cologne could be described on Broad Street in Birmingham every week, where women are baited and heckled.
Now, since I used to go to Birmingham when I was younger, it has changed a lot. So she thinks she's defending what happened in Europe on the continent with the mass attacks on women in Germany. It's actually a self-report on how downhill Birmingham has gone since it's no longer majority British, in my opinion. Again, that's just my view. Now, the establishment will always try to defend itself, and that's what we're going to be seeing here. You need to be wary, and you need to question everything and what narrative they're trying to spin. Nobody will want to admit guilt, nobody will want to admit false. The establishment will always cover its own arse before it does anything else. Now, if you like this video, and you think I'm onto something, and you think that Rupert Lowe is doing the right thing by still holding his inquiry as well, so we can hold government to the fire, let me know. If you think he's wasting his time, let me know. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video later on today. But yeah, if Jess Phillips had anything about her, she would have resigned. I don't think I'd have the stomach to face any of these victims. I really wouldn't. Have a good day.